Hello children, today we are going to discuss chapter force and pressure. What is a force? Force is a push or pull that we can only feel or observe its effect. What is a push or pull? A force to move an object away from our body is called push. And pull, when we are applying a force to take the objects towards your direction, it is called a pull. So net effect of push or pull is called force. Force is caused because of interaction between two bodies. When a man is trying to push a car by standing behind it, it is changing its position. Then it is a force. Suppose you are standing behind a table and you are trying to push that table in one direction. Then another friend of yours comes and he also starts pushing the table in same direction. Then net resultant of both the forces will be sum total of forces applied by both of you. That is, total force will be equal to sum total of F1 and F2. If two persons are applying different kinds of forces from different directions, suppose you are pushing the table in one direction and your friend is pushing the table in another direction, the net effect of two forces will be cancelling each other. If their magnitude is different, the net resultant will be difference of two, that is F2 minus F1, and it is called unbalanced force. When you are applying same kind of force, that is both of you are applying same kind of force on the table is not changing its position at all. It is called balanced force. Its net resultant will be zero. What could be the effects of force? With the effect of force, you can change the position of object. The object which is in motion can come into rest. The object which is at rest can come into motion. The object which is slowly moving can move fast. And the object which is moving fast can slow down. And you can change the direction of object which is moving. You can see different examples here. When you are having a rubber band in hand, you are stretching it between your fingers. It is changing its position with the effect of external force applied by you. It can come back to its original position when that effect of force will be released. When you will release that force, it will come back to its original position. You are having piece of sponge in your hand and you are trying to press the piece of sponge between your fingers. It will change its position. When you will leave that force, it will come back to its original position. You are having a spring in your hand and you are trying to press it between your fingers. It will change its position and it will regain its shape back when this effect of force will be released. You are having a glass tumbler. When it falls down, it is breaking into pieces. When you are having a piece of paper in hand, it is torn into smaller pieces. You are having a empty can and it is crushed. It is changing its shape. These are things which can't be regained its original position back. We are having different types of forces. That is contact forces and non-contact forces. Contact forces are exerted when two objects are in contact with each other. And non-contact forces are exerted when object is not in contact with each other. We are having two types of contact forces, muscular force and force of friction. And we are having three types of non-contact forces, magnetic force, electrostatic force, and gravitational force. Let's discuss these one by one. First is muscular force. Muscular force is type of contact forces. Muscular force is force exerted by muscles of our bodies. We are using horses, camels, donkeys, elephants. We are using their muscular force for performing different activities, different tasks. You can see examples here. Then you are having force of friction. We are aware of force of friction is force which opposes the motion of object. Like a ball is moving on the ground and slowly it slows down and then it stops because of effect of friction caused by the ground. We are able to walk on the ground, we are able to write because of force of friction. Then we have non-contact forces. First is magnetic force. Magnetic force is force exerted by magnets. We know magnet can attract piece of iron from distance. Magnet can attract different poles, like north pole of one magnet can attract south pole of another magnet from distance. And it can also repel, like north pole of magnet can repel north pole of magnet from distance. So these are non-contact forces because magnets are not in physical contact with each other. From distance only they are exerting pressure, force on them. Then you have electrostatic force. Electrostatic force is force exerted by charged body on another charged or uncharged body. You are having bits of paper, then you are having a comb. We can rub that comb with the dry hair and it can attract pieces of paper towards itself because of electrostatic force exerted by it. Then we have gravitational force. Gravitational force is force exerted by Earth on different objects. It pulls objects towards itself, like dry leaves from trees are falling down on ground. Water is falling down on ground. These are examples of gravitational force of Earth. Next is pressure. Pressure depends upon force and area. Pressure is equal to force exerted on unit area. Pressure is described on how force is exerted on particular area. In this example of acupressure, person is exerting pressure on particular part of hand with the help of thumb. That is exerting pressure on certain area. Pressure is equal to force per unit area. Its units are Pascal. If area is smaller, pressure will be more. We can have different examples. Like we are able to cut with knife if its edges are sharp. Why we are having a sharp edged knife? Because its area is lesser. So it is exerting more pressure than a blunt knife with more surface area. The high pressure on surface of ice so that ice melts and allow the ice skater to glide smoothly. So we are using such type of shoes that should exert pressure on the ice. We are using iron nails. Iron nails are having their heads and the tail part is having lesser surface area. So it can go inside the wall easily when we hammer it. Because its surface area is less, so it will exert more pressure. When we are using studs, the pressure under the studs is high enough for them to sink into the ground, which gives extra grip. Players are using studs so that they can walk properly, they can run properly, and they should not sink in the even muddy soil. We can increase the pressure by reducing the area. You can see if air pressure inside the tires is more, they will not sink in the icy road. We can reduce the pressure by increasing the area. Pressure can be reduced if you are using such type of shoes which will increase the surface area. We can reduce the pressure by increasing the area. A tractor moving on the soft ground has wider tires to reduce the pressure on the ground so that they will not sink in the ground. When we are using a bag, the bag, if it is carrying more weight, then we need to use straps which should be broader in size. If you will use strap which is thinner in size, that type of straps will exert more pressure on your shoulders. See here, you are having brick. You can keep this brick in two ways on the floor. One way it is exerting more pressure on the surface. In this way it is exerting lesser pressure on the surface. You can see why, because it is exerting lesser pressure on the surface as area of contact is more. In this case, area of contact is less, so it is exerting more pressure on the surface. See, here is a problem in which diagram you can see the child is exerting more pressure on the ground. A, B, C or D. There are 4 cases. You can see in which case it is exerting least pressure on the ground. The case where surface of contact will be more, pressure will be less. So the answer should be B. A brick with rectangular sides rest on the table. It is the case. Now brick is turned in this way. You have to see in which case the pressure is changing. The pressure is more and in which case pressure is less. How has this change affect the force and the pressure exerted by the brick on the table? You have to choose the correct option. Next is liquid pressure. The pressure exerted by liquid kept in a container is called liquid pressure or hydrostatic pressure. The liquid push water to all the direction, right? That is liquid pressure. We are having here different examples. Liquid pressure on the bottom of container does not depend upon the area of bottom. It acts perpendicular to the base. Liquid pressure at any point inside the liquid depend upon the density and height of the liquid column above the liquid. Liquid exerts sidewise pressure. An external pressure applied on the liquid in a closed container is transmitted uniformly throughout the liquid. Here I would like to tell you, you can use this pressure is equal to H rho G. Means pressure exerted by liquid is multiple of height, density and gravity, right? So if there would be a question given in which they will ask from you, this type of liquid container will exert how much pressure, you should know the height of liquid column, you should know the density and you should know the value of G. You can calculate the pressure. Pressure exerted by the particular column of a liquid depends upon its height. Pressure increase with depth. You can see the pressure on this particular part will be more. See this? Pressure from this part will be less. Pressure from this part will be more. Because you can see this much column of liquid is coming extra on this part. And from this part, only this much column of liquid was exerting pressure on this part. So you can identify that water from this part is moving to more distance than from this hole. Pressure depends upon the density of liquid. The more dense the liquid, the higher the pressure at any particular depth. Say you are having oil and water, which will exert more pressure. It depends upon its density. Pressure does not depend on the shape of container. Whatever the shape or width of container you can take, the pressure at any particular depth is same because it depends upon height. This is the example of atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is pressure of air around us. The pressure of air which is on your head, that is 1 atmosphere. The weight of air column of height of the atmosphere and area 10 centimeter into 10 centimeter is as large as 1000 kg. This is 2 rubber suckers. They are joined to each other. Then this example is given in NCERT where different 2 groups of horses were there to separate them, and they were not able to separate because a vacuum was created inside them, and air is exerting pressure from both sides and they are not able to separate. Atmospheric pressure is pressure of layer of air on Earth. It extends up to 1000 kilometers above the surface of Earth. So it is exerting pressure on us. Pressure inside our body is because of blood. So pressure inside the body and outside the body is balanced. So when you are going to some higher hills, you feel that there is problem of that nose bleeding. Why so? Because the pressure inside the body remains same, but the outside pressure of air is less. So pressure inside the body is more. So blood from higher pressure zone starts moving to lower pressure zone. It is coming out of your nose. These are examples. When the piston is pulled up, the atmospheric pressure inside the cylinder will decrease. The atmospheric pressure outside pushes the liquid up. So it is going inside. Vacuum cleaner can take out the dust from the things. It is sucking out because of that pressure. Thank you.